Welcome and happy Friday, everybody, which is a phrase I hate. I don't know why I said it, but I did. Nothing I can do to take it back. I hope everybody's having a good Friday so far. It is the end of the week. We are into the holiday season. I'm sure everybody's got a lot of wonderful weekend plans coming up. If not, I hope you take it easy then. But we've got some fun things to talk about today. We've got some not so fun things to talk about today. But I think the biggest thing is obviously the fact that Pam Bondi, Attorney General of the United States, is probably the biggest failure out of everybody in the Trump administration. And her failures are actually good for the United States. Okay. Let me make that abundantly clear. We don't want Pam Bondi to succeed in anything that she is attempting to do. So her failures, while hilarious, are also very, very good for the country. For the second time in 7 days, Pam Bondi, Attorney General of the United States, failed to get a grand jury to indict New York Attorney General Letitia James for mortgage fraud. Twice in 7 days, she couldn't get an indictment. Now, what is hilarious about this to me is that obviously grand juries only hear from one side, okay? It's not like a full trial. It is just the prosecutors showing all their evidence, telling this grand jury, we've got this person, we can prosecute them. And that, of course, is why you have the old expression, you could get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich, because the other side doesn't get a say. There's no other lawyers present. There's nobody presenting competing arguments or counter arguments. It's just the one side. And Pam Bondi has now failed twice in the span of a week to get another indictment against Letitia James after her first one was thrown out. Now, what's also interesting is that Lindsay Halligan, the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Virginia, the judge already ruled a couple weeks ago that Halligan was there serving illegally because she wasn't properly appointed and therefore she has to go. Well, guess what? She's still there. I didn't know that. Lindsay Halligan is refusing to leave even though she has been ordered by a judge to get the hell out of that office, pack your stuff and go. At least Alina Habba, did eventually say, okay, I'm resigning from the job I legally, technically don't even have. Lindsay Halligan's just like, nope, I'm staying. Yeah, no, all my stuff's here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still the U.S. attorney. So that's going to be fun. But what I think is funnier is the fact that if you or I were told by a judge to leave a place, right, or to do something or not to do something, if it were you or I, and then we didn't do the thing the judge told us to do, or we did do the thing the judge told us not to do, we'd go to jail immediately. Like, no hesitation. Do not pass go, do not collect $200, go straight to jail. But Lindsay Halligan, so far, no consequences, and she has stayed there for weeks after being told by the judge, pack your crap and get the hell out of here. So I think that's pretty interesting, and hopefully the courts will take appropriate action against her. But that, of course, is secondary to the nonstop failures that we are seeing coming from Pam Bondi, who apparently could not even indict a ham sandwich. The case against Letitia James is about as flimsy as you can imagine. The documents, the loan documents, mortgage documents that she has actually do say that she is legally allowed to do the thing they're trying to prosecute her for doing, which is to rent the property out. She just wasn't allowed to rent the property out through a company, right? She had to be the landlord. You can't hire another group to run it. That's what the document says. So she did nothing illegal, according to the bank itself. And the fact that they're even still trying to indict her for this is just beyond hilarious. Not quite as funny as Pam Bondi still refusing or failing, I should say, to get the indictment, but hilarious nevertheless. I love every second of it because these failures are what's keeping the country together. Okay. Like that's what's preventing Donald Trump from fully being able to go into his revenge agenda like he wants to. And to make it even funnier, the guy, Bill Pulte with the housing department, he's the one who's coming up with all these allegations against Letitia James, against Swalwell, against Schiff. Raskin, I believe, might be one of them too. So he's the one that is like, no, 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 look at all these documents, all these people with all these frauds. And now he's the one actually under investigation, and he could be the one going down for this, for illegally obtaining these documents and, of course, hiding portions of the documents from the actual prosecution and the defense. So a whole big, pardon my language, shit show over at the DOJ. And it leads me to believe Pam Bondi is going to be fired soon. I know she's loyal. She is literally doing everything Donald Trump tells her to do, but he did have to remind her to do it. And we know that he did that publicly. He thought he was sending a private message. He put it out there for the world to see. So he was a little already annoyed with her that she wasn't doing it yet. And then when she finally gets around to doing it, she fails every step of the way. Loyalty will take you so far inside of Trump's world. But if that loyalty is not backed up with at least some results, you're done for. And that is what's happening with Pam Bondi. She can't continue to fail Trump, but praise him at every opportunity and think she's going to keep her job. That's not how it works. He is going to kick her out and end up replacing her with somebody who he thinks is going to be able to, get these results that nobody's going to be able to do. They're being given an impossible task, and each one of them will pay the price when they're unable to actually get it done. I got some super chats here, and a member comment here says, "Happy Mooniversary. I finally made it live. Loving my daily dose, Farron." Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I am loving doing the live streams now. I think this is a lot of fun. I like the interactions. Super chat here from Skeet Sayer 2018 says, "Why is America the way it is today? In 1772, the British Parliament started voting to end colonial slavery in America. You are taught that it was based on tea. This is Reagan with the gloves off." I think a lot of it, as you're hinting at here, has to do with education. We are taught, obviously, this is the best country ever exist. It was basically founded because we stood up for ourselves. Right? We're not going to stand for what the British monarchy has to say and do, and they're going to tax us, and we don't get any benefits from anything. So we stood up for ourselves because we're the best. We're the best of the best. And we, kind of gloss over all of the horrible things that happened during those years. I mean, honestly, even when I was in school, in the late 80s, early 90s, or throughout the 90s, I should say, we didn't learn about the massacres that took place of the indigenous people here in the United States. That was never taught. Never. And I went to elementary and middle schools in several different states. Never taught any of that. Trail of Tears, nothing. So yeah, a lot of it has to do with a lack of, good educational core, which has only gotten worse since then. I mean, it's now illegal in some states to even teach those things, like my state of Florida. So it's horrible. Another super chat here says, "Federal cases regarding these people must be live streamed." Oh, that would be wonderful. I would love to watch these things live streamed. Another super chat here says, "Congrats on 1 million subscribers." Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yes, 2 weeks ago, actually the day of the first live stream, we ended up hitting 1 million subscribers, which was phenomenal. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Do these live streams every day, 9 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday, in addition to multiple other videos that go up all throughout the day, some prior to the stream, some after the stream. So if you have not checked those out either, by the way, go watch the earlier video. And of course, watch what comes on later today. A lot of wonderful stuff. So Pam Bondi, I think her days are numbered. And I think that number just got a lot smaller with this failure to indict Letitia James. She wants to re-indict James Comey, even though the statute of limitations on that case has expired and she can't. but she's trying because God knows she's got to get something for Trump. And I don't even know that any of the indictments against the other folks that they're working on, like Swalwell and everybody, I don't think those are ever even going to materialize. And of course, we can't forget that Donald Trump actually did the thing they're trying to accuse all these other people of doing, which is take out a mortgage, swear you're going to live there, and then rent out the property. Talked about that story earlier this week. Of course, ProPublica is the one that came out with this massive report, everything we need for this. So it's pretty remarkable that Donald Trump is the one who did it, but they're trying to say everybody else did it. You know, it's always projection with these fools. So let's actually, before I go to a different story here, let me go to some more comments here. Ty Thompson 2724 says the MAGAs are taking over all the public schools, making them Christian, using homeschooling and vouchers. They will have us all stupid for white privilege within a generation. Hello from Sweden. Hello. Denmark just ranked us as U.S. as a security risk. I saw that. That was actually one of the stories that unfortunately I did not have enough time to get to this week. But yeah, that's, pretty accurate. Denmark didn't do anything wrong. They didn't get it wrong. We pretty much are for them, especially with Donald Trump's, quest to take over Greenland, which thank God that's kind of died off. But let's never forget that happened. Back Bay Boogeyman says, I realized all this no Obama garbage back in 2009, 2010 in my state was code word for we are angry about a black man being president, and the high schoolers were absorbing that Fox News crap. Yeah, a lot of the hatred of Obama is, of course, obviously rooted in racism. Excuse me, getting a little tongue-tied here. And now they feel comfortable. Back then they had to use coded language and try to make it seem like we're not being overtly racist, but they're really, really awful. Especially today, they're getting worse. The poll that came out recently, more than a third of young Republican voters admit, yeah, I'm openly racist. It's awful. It's absolutely horrific. So let me go ahead. I need to move on to this other story here because this one, not as fun, obviously, but definitely something important that everybody needs to be paying attention to, because this week the administration announced that a man by the name of Greg Phillips, a prominent 2020 election denier who rose to prominence, questioning the validity of 2020, saying that 3 million illegals voted, featured in the discredited film 2,000 Mules. Greg Phillips is now taking over the Office of Response and Recovery for FEMA. FEMA. A guy who on his LinkedIn post earlier this year said, I have been a very vocal opponent of FEMA. We now have a FEMA-hating fraudster running the Office of Response and Recovery. So we know this administration, Donald Trump has said it, Kristi Noem has said it, and FEMA is a part of Homeland Security. They want to get rid of FEMA altogether, but they can't just, get rid of it. So what they're doing instead is they're putting these incompetent buffoons in charge of it so that it doesn't work. So then once it stops working properly and they pick it apart from the inside, they can sell it easier to the public by saying, oh, look at FEMA sucks. Look how bad it is. We should just get rid of it because it's not even working for you. And the public, dumb as they are, is going to be like, yeah, you're right. Let's get rid of it. But that's what Republicans do with everything. It's what they do with the Department of Education. They run campaigns telling us that all these government institutions are broken. Then they get into government, break the institutions intentionally to prove the point they had previously made, which wasn't accurate then, but now it's accurate because they broke it. That is exactly what they're doing with FEMA. We have seen it all year long, disaster after disaster. I mean, hell, the people in North Carolina were told repeatedly during last year's campaign that Biden didn't send FEMA to help you, which was a total lie. The people that lived there knew that. They had been interacting with FEMA, but they still believed it. These fucking dumbasses still believed that FEMA wasn't there as they're working with FEMA. So when I say the American public is very, very dumb, that's the kind of crap I'm talking about. And then Trump's the one who cut off FEMA funding for all those people from Hurricane Helene. Yeah. You voted out the guy that was helping you, voted for the guy that screwed you in the end because he doesn't want FEMA to exist. And putting this election denier, a guy that was accused, he held state offices in Texas and Mississippi. And each time he held these offices, he would steer a bunch of contracts to companies that he owned or co-owned. So he's like not even allowed, according to this report from the Hill, he's not even allowed to do business in Texas anymore because he was such a fraudster. Then he pushed all the 2020, election conspiracies. He and his wife are in a fight with the IRS because he owes, according to the IRS, $100,000 in back taxes that he refuses to pay. And this is the guy, this fraudster, shyster, huckster, grifter, that's now going to be in charge of response and recovery at FEMA. Had a lot of super chats come through. I want to try to get to these. Another one says Trump's 2016 platform was entirely AM radio racism. Another one says, thank you, Farron, for all you do. You're one of the main sources where I get my news. Well, thank you very much for that. Here's one that says, hey, Farron, greetings from Austria. Now, unfortunately, when I read that, all I can think of is Dumb and Dumber. Austria. Well, then, good day, mate. But no, I kid. It's a great movie, by the way. Anyway, hey, Farron, greetings from Austria. Do you think that if a Democrat wins in 2028 but fails to repair the damage that Trump did in his second term fast enough that voters will go back to Republicans in 2032? 100%. Like 100%. And that's the problem that the Democrats have. The public has an attention span of about 3 months. So if the Democrats take over and they're not repairing things fast enough, then the voters can be like, well, you guys suck too. I gave you 3 months to fix 4 years of damage and you didn't do it. So I guess I'm going back to the Republicans. That's what we do. That's why that political pendulum just swings back and forth so wildly and quickly, because people are impatient. We want results, and by God, we want them right now. Where are they? That's what cost Biden, or I should say Harris, actually, the 2024 election. Recovery was there, but it wasn't there enough for everybody to be like, okay, we can wait this out. They wanted results right now. They had 4 years of Trump to know he's bad for the economy, but forgot all of that. So yeah, it absolutely will swing back and forth. And that is one of the most unfortunate parts of American politics. Another super chat here from Skeets here says, we are the resistance. Yes, we are. We're the ones that have to educate everybody else. We're the ones that have to continue to get the message out there. We're the ones that do have to show up in the streets when that is called for, join in with these protests, with these marches, with things like that. But most importantly, it's the education part. I think protesting is great. I think the marches are wonderful. Nothing is more powerful than education. And that is why I do what I do every day. This isn't just so I can come on here and yell about things and get angry or laugh and joke. This is to help people. This is so that people understand what's going on. And whether it's people who agree with me or disagree with me doesn't matter. The point is to get the word out there. And hopefully every now and then it does reach people who disagree with me when they click on the video. And by the time it ends, they're like, you know what? You actually make some good points. Of course, with as much as I insult all the people on the right, it's probably not happening. As I've always said, I'm not necessarily the guy to bring people over, but maybe it works. Maybe you don't like being called stupid. Maybe you don't like, I don't know. Another super chat here says, then we are never getting off the political pendulum. We can. We can get off the political pendulum and stop these wild swings from left to right, if we're given enough time, if we enact that transformational change. Because change does take a long time. Some of the time. Some of the time it takes a long time. Some of the time it does not. Sometime we do need, like, okay, you know what? We're going to come in and we got enough people now, universal health care. A move like that is going to slow that pendulum swing. It's going to help things stay within that one party that starts really providing for people. So we're not stuck in this cycle if we get transformational leadership. Another super chat here says, what do you think of Hakeem Jeffries refusing to endorse Jasmine Crockett as a waste of time? I think Hakeem Jeffries is a waste of time. I think Hakeem Jeffries is a disgrace. I think he is a very weak leader, and I do not think he should be anywhere near leadership for the Democratic Party. I cannot stand him because he is so weak and ineffective. In fact, flip him, right? Let's put Jasmine Crockett in charge in the House, and I guarantee you we're going to see much better results in the future. Super chat here from Kelly A9050. Thank you very much, Kelly. Goodness, these are coming fast and furious. Please have a reporter ask Trump if he is a gecko or otherwise. How did his ear heal? Of course, that's opening up a whole nother can of worms here with regard to the event that happened, not this past summer, the summer before, obviously, during the campaign. Yeah, I do think people want answers to that. Of all the things that Donald Trump like bitches about from his past, all the things he's been through, that one's like rarely brought up. And you would think, that would be like the top thing he would like to remind people of, because it was the one time he got like a bunch of sympathy. So, very, very weird, I guess we'll call it that. But yeah, it's something he doesn't like to talk about. Maybe he's traumatized by it, or maybe they don't want people digging in too much on it. The only time he brings it up is when he's trying to raise more money. So yeah, weird situation is all I'm going to say about that. Tyler Hackner, God, I always just randomly catch Tyler Hackner's comments. I love that. That's hilarious to me. I'd like James Tallarico as a senator while Crockett rises in leadership in the House. I do agree. I really do agree. I think this is not the election that Texas's Senate seat is going to turn blue. And that means we're going to lose Jasmine Crockett, which is not good. Kind of like last year when we lost Katie Porter. And I know stories have come out recently about Katie Porter, and she was yelling at her staff and mean to them and horrible. And that's not okay. But, when we have these powerful voices, you're like a Katie Porter or a Jasmine Crockett, and then they're like, hey, I'm going to run for this thing instead of where I'm at. It's like, oh no, I need you where you are. We don't want you to not be there. So it does drive me crazy. I hope she wins. I started seeing the articles yesterday. Oh, this could be the election where Texas goes blue. And over 21 years in politics, folks, I say it every time, but every 2 years we have elections, and every 2 years over those 21 years, there has been, this is the year that Texas is turning blue. It's like clockwork. Every cycle, this could be the year that Texas goes blue. I am so sick of seeing those damn articles. My God, at this point, you don't even need to write new ones. Just recycle the crap you've been running since 2004, because that's how far back it goes. Maybe further than that before I was, a political researcher and all that. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely ridiculous there. Listen, unfortunately, folks, I have got to get out of here. I got a lot more content I've got to get to for the rest of the day. Thank you all for tuning in. Hey, if you're not subscribed, do not forget, please do that. I really, really, really would love that. And most importantly, share everything. Let's make sure all of these folks out there get the message, get the word, help grow the channel, help keep this thing going. If you want to follow me across social media, I'm at Fair and Balanced on all of those platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. V-Man, I see your super chat here now. I may have missed that super chat. I am so sorry about that. But again, thank you all for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned for the rest of the videos of the day, and I will see you all again on Monday.